Want some sauce?
Scene 1, Apple, take 1.
Oh, you talk about when it rains, it pours. So, my car had been throwing out error messages saying your oil, it's too low. You know, you need to check the level of it. And I'd check it and it would say it's okay. And then I'd be driving and it would say, your oil, it's too high. You need to check the level of it, right? So I'm like, what the hell's going on? So I'm thinking it's you know, the oil's fine, so something's wrong with the sensor. And the sensor, if I'm not mistaken, is in the oil pan area. And I thought to myself, okay, well, I'll go ahead and I'll change the oil. And during the time that I'm changing the oil, I'll also go ahead and examine the sensor down there, okay? And then so one of the things that you do when you change the oil is you change the oil filter. And I was sitting there and I was taking the top of it off, and when I took it off, it broke, right? So I'm like, what the hell? So I had to order a new one. So this is basically the new one. And even though this is new and I don't have to replace the parts, when you order a new oil filter, you're going to get a rubber ring here, you're going to get one here, and one for right here. Okay, and obviously you're going to have your oil filter. And this is all one piece, okay, and this will generally just slide on like that. And then these pieces you want to replace because they get hard over time, okay, they'll harden. And then you just end up putting this back in, and generally you could just put a little bit of some of the old oil. This has been setting for a couple of days because I had to order it online. But you can kind of put this around the seals here to help them kind of go back in. Okay. With that being done, we'll tighten this. And generally, you tighten these to a specific number of newtons, right? And usually it's written on here. Yeah, I don't know if you can see this, but it says 25 Newton meters. And generally these guys are like hand tight plus a little bit more, generally, okay? But go with what the manufacturer suggests, 25 Newton meters. Let's go ahead and empty the oil out of the oil pan. So then I thought, okay, I'll just go ahead and drain the oil. And I don't know if you can see that, but right where the plug goes in, there's a chunk missing, okay? And you can see that it's been leaking for a long time. And I saw that and I said, great, because now I have to remove the oil pan and replace the whole damn oil pan. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so taking the oil pan off, it's not a real easy task because there's a bunch of stuff that's kind of in your way. One of them is this plastic guard that's up in front, and you're going to see that you're going to have a few of these dudes to remove. Basically, in areas right here on the back, those are actually plastic things. We got a couple over there too, and we had two up here. This needs to come down because if not, you're going to have a really hard time getting to the front bolts of the oil pan. Okay, and this is what I'm talking about with this front part. It's really hard to get to these three, especially this one right here. This one is like murder, but I've got all of them off, and at this point I should be able to pry this oil pan off carefully because it is aluminum, and even though this one is damaged, I don't want to damage the surface that it attaches to. So I'm going to end up popping in a chisel or something that's kind of sharp that I can kind of get inside there and gently wiggle it back and forth until it can break the seal. Scraping this old gasket off. It looks like somebody had used RTV or something on this instead of a gasket. That's what it looks like to me. So I've got a major problem here because it's like somebody had taken this off in the past and they didn't have a gasket, so they just ended up using RTV, and it's like glued on. I can't get this thing off. So, and there's just really no room down there with a hammer and a chisel to try to even start a wedge. So I'm going to try from the top, but I'm hoping I don't damage the bottom of my engine block. You know, I just don't see how I'm going to be able to get this off without having to do some brute force technique, and I don't really like doing that, but I kind of feel like I'm in a position that I don't have a choice. So after examining this for a while, I've come to the conclusion I'm going to have to fucking drill a hole into it from here and kind of use this as a means to try to pry it off. It's glued on there, and there's just no room for me to wedge anything. There's just no room to swing a hammer, and it's so tight. The two pieces of steel, the two pieces of aluminum are so tight together, you can't really wedge anything between there. It's just brutal. So I'm going to end up drilling a hole in this. I mean, luckily I have a new pan anyway, but I'm going to use that for leverage so I can wedge something in there and see if I can pry this off. Man, I got to tell you what a pain in the ass that is. And I hate it when people do this, you know, but they didn't have a gasket. They just ended up putting a whole bunch of RTV on there, and it essentially just glued it in place, you know, and it was like impossible to get this damn thing off. I ended up drilling some holes in this, and it took me about 3 or 4 times using a caliche bar with leverage to get this thing off. And a caliche bar is a bar that's that long right there. I mean, and I had to put some weight behind it to get that damn thing off. That's ridiculous. But I wanted to double check underneath to make sure that there was no gasket, you know, and so I took a chisel to it, just like this, and it went to straight aluminum. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, now that I've got this taken apart, I'm going to clean all that stuff up, scrape off any of this old RTV that was on there, just clean everything up real good. And since the oil pan is off, I'm going to end up checking all of this stuff here too, see if anything in here is damaged, needs to be replaced or whatever, cleaned. So anyway, guys, God, man, what a pain in the ass. Let me clean all this stuff up and check all of these things, and we'll put the oil pan back on. Okay, so it's been a couple of days, and I finally ended up getting my oil pan. Now in this particular case, the RTV is actually going to be serving the purpose of kind of filling in any little micro inconsistencies within the machining of the oil pan. Usually the machining is pretty good. Okay, it's also going to act as an adhesive to the gasket. Now ideally we don't want to have any RTV come inside the oil pan. Okay, so if you see any like sticking out this way, you know, come through, take it out. You don't really want that. Okay, if it herniates on the outside, that's fine. Herniating on the inside, it's not such a good idea. Once again, if it's herniating anywhere that this can get into the oil, remove it. Make sure that the gasket hasn't closed any of the openings. That's a big pain in the ass when you're putting in screws and then the gasket's blocking it. One way to make sure that that doesn't happen is just simply take your screws and slide them in here to make sure that they don't shift or anything, and nothing will end up getting in the way. Now that I've got all that stuff kind of smeared and whatnot, I'm going to let this set for an hour or so, and then I'll go ahead and it'll still be tacky in an hour, but in an hour I can go ahead and put this on the car, and we shouldn't have any problems with it. Okay, so I've got a little bit more cleaning up to do around this because I still see a little bit of RTV here and there, but as soon as I get that all up, I can go ahead and I can slip the new oil pan on there and start doing some things finger tight. All right, gotta tell you, it's not easy finding a good spot to put a damn camera when you're underneath here. But now what I want to do is I want to go through here and put my bolts in, but only hand tight. there's no reason for me to crank these guys yet. When it comes time to tightening this thing, I'm going to be doing it just like you would do a head or a manifold, where you know, you do some here, then you go across like that, because we are dealing with aluminum. And I'll go ahead and I'll start in the rear because it's the furthest away, the hardest for me to get to. You know, and when tightening things like this, you want to go tight, but you don't want to go like Superman. You know, you don't want to herniate the thing, and you also don't want to crack it. What I'm doing here is like X, and then I'm gonna come up here and X, and then just gonna be kind of doing it like that. And I'm not putting a whole lot of pressure. I'm not really putting a whole lot of pressure on this. Basically, it's like as soon as I feel that it's got some resistance, where it's bottoming out kind of, what I do is I put like just a little bit more beyond that, where I know it's going to be tight and it's going to make a seal, but I also know it's tight enough that it's going to lock these in. I don't have to worry about vibration making these guys come loose later on down the line, which is a real possibility, right? If you look at your manual, your repair manual, it'll tell you exactly how many pounds or meters or newtons you should tighten these things down at. I'm just going by my experience and how it feels, which is a little old school, and some people would yell at you for that, but I've never really had any problems with it. One of the big things you have to worry about when you are tightening things like this, you're dealing with aluminum, and it can easily bend or crack or whatever, and you've got to be careful of that. So, you know, it's I hate saying it, but it's something you just got to kind of learn, or once again, just use the repair manual and go by that. I wonder if they could have made it more difficult, you know, trying to get to this damn thing. And even though you can't see it right now, you might only be seeing this jack right here, but I've got jack stands actually on this guy holding these dudes up too. You always end up having like 2, 3 forms of safety. Don't trust just a jack. Trust me on that. I've almost been crushed by a car by doing that. Now I've got a slight problem because there's one bolt that seems to be missing, and I'm not sure where it is. Alright, so I was able to find the bolt, and of course it was right next to me. So we're going to start putting our oil in it, and when you start putting your oil in, you want to kind of pull the dipstick out so that way air can get inside there and help out. Obviously you want to open up your oil filler section here. We also need to drop this so that way it's not at an angle. Now, you wouldn't think that the type of oil, the thickness of it, the weight of it, as they say, would matter, but it actually kind of does. Okay, some engines, now you would think that the weight of a certain oil wouldn't make that big of a difference. In other words, you could use 1040 or whatever inside something that's calling for, you know, 1030 or whatever, 530. You can't. Sometimes you can do that, especially with older cars. With newer cars, not so much. Sometimes it needs a much thinner oil. Okay, even if it's old, just because some of the parts don't work. Just because some of the parts don't work very well when you end up starting putting thicker oil in them. Okay. Now in this particular case, I know how much I need to add. But when you end up going by the dipstick, if it says that it's full after you've changed all this, typically you have to add almost another quart because you have the oil filter too that hasn't absorbed anything yet, you know. So any oil that you spill, make sure you clean it up, because if not, it'll start smoking real bad and stinking, and you'll be like, did I tighten that all the way? When I was a mechanic years ago for Montgomery Ward, this was a long time ago before I joined the Army, there was a car that was wheeled in from the tow truck company. It was an old woman, and the car wouldn't start. It was having problems. You know, you check the fluids, you do all that stuff, and what she had done, so it's known as hydrostatic lock, really, but what she had done is she just kept putting oil in the car until it actually filled up, until she could see it up here on top. That's a ridiculous amount of oil. You don't want to do that. Alright, I think right here we might have a winner. Okay, so what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to turn the engine on, and I'm going to let it cycle for a little bit, let the oil kind of just go around the engine, and let it rest for about 5 minutes, and then check the dipstick again to see if we've got enough in there. And generally what will happen is after you do this, it's actually going to end up saying that you don't have enough, because a lot of it's going to go in the oil filter. Not a lot of it, but about a quart, maybe half a quart. I don't know if you can hear it, but I can hear a valve clicking. It's a light click, but it's there. So at this point I'm going to turn the engine off. It has circulated enough, and I'm going to give this an opportunity to kind of just chill out, sweep up all the aluminum that was underneath this from me having to drill the old oil pan, which was bullshit. Yeah, we lost like a quart. So, figures. That's why you should always do that. But you can't test it immediately, because you have to wait for all the oil to kind of drain back into the pan. I'm pretty sure that what we had just done right there is going to be enough. After I know that there's no leaks and everything is good, that's when I'll end up putting that plastic protective cover back on under the front of this. I know it's not too exciting, guys, but that's that. And it's basically an oil change plus a frickin' oil pan change. But that is that. And now I get to go ahead and take this for a drive, see how it performs, see if I end up having any more of the problems, saying there's too little oil, too much oil, all that good stuff, and whatnot. So anyway, guys, that's that. Until next time, talk to you later.